This analysis will cover the storyboard, final survey questions, analysis and output, dashboard, and bibliography. Before diving into all the data, we asked ourselves, what do we really need to know to successfully enter New Zealand's wireless headphone market? We realised we needed to understand three main questions. Who are the major players? How are they positioned? What trends are shaping the market right now? And what do consumers actually think of the current products? These questions were designed to help us find market gaps and identify a unique selling point, a USP, that a brand could use to stand out. For example, we came up with tailored questions that would help us determine what consumers want to see in the wireless headphone market. This graph shows what current brands stand out to consumers and what might be a market favorite at the moment. Another question we found to be important in our analysis for developing questions to further our research was, how important is the sound quality of the headphones you as a consumer would purchase? This helps us understand whether the headphone market is directly affected by the aesthetics of the brand or if it is purely performance-based. On to you, Georgia.
For our research into the New Zealand wireless headphone industry, we adopted a quantitative research design with a descriptive approach to help us understand consumer behaviours, preferences, and market perceptions. Our data was collected through an online survey, which we distributed via Snapchat and Instagram. We selected these platforms because they are widely used by individuals from different demographics, and therefore this allowed us to reach a broad and relevant audience quickly and effectively. A convenient sampling method was used in order to focus on individuals who were easily accessible through our group's social networks. Although this method can limit our overall generalizability, it was appropriate for the study as it gave us a glimpse into potential trends for a wider audience, but was also a method that was effective in terms of collecting data within a specific time frame. The survey was developed through a structured questionnaire. The questionnaire had both multiple choice and preference scale questions. This was done so that we would be able to gather measurable data, which included things like brand preferences, key quality traits, usage habits, and other relevant information. So from our survey, a total of 80 responses were collected. This provided us with enough data and information to identify trends and patterns within the market. The data was then analysed using basic descriptive statistical techniques. With Qualtrics, an online survey tool, we were able to build the survey and collect the responses, and even analyse the response data. This helped us visualise and understand our key findings further. We ensured confidentiality and anonymity throughout our collection, as our surveys did not ask questions regarding participants' personal information, such as their names, addresses, or even their email. Each of our participants did, however, give us informed consent, which was done when we asked the individual if they would like to partake in the survey before they were sent. Each individual agreed to the text to conduct the survey, and this meant that the ethical guidelines were met, and therefore there was no need for further approval from any participating party.
Here we are looking through the data collected and are graphing the most important information to aid Brand X in entering the New Zealand headphone market. Here we are looking through the data collected and are graphing the most important information to aid Brand X in entering the New Zealand headphone market. Here we are looking through the data collected and are graphing the most important information to aid Brand X in entering the New Zealand headphone market. Here we are looking through the data collected and are graphing the most important information to aid Brand X. This is question 1. This first graph determining our respondents' favourite headphone brands is extremely one-sided. Most brands have low counts of 1 to 8, but Apple with 22 and Sony with 14 pull the average way up and take up 45% of all answers. This is an example of a long-tail distribution, where few brands dominate and the rest have small and more niche demand. This is graph 2 from question 2. The mean score of 3.75 and the median of 4.0 show us that the attributes that score above this, which include sound quality, comfort, battery life, and noise cancellation, are the core drivers of the market. and a standard deviation of 1.77 shows a clear spread between the most important and least important attributes, which show us that most consumers agree on what they value the most. Design/style and brand recognitions score well below the average, so they're not a top priority. This is our third graph from question 4 of our survey. This shows that most respondents rate brand ethics moderately to slightly important when it comes to their purchasing decisions, with a mean of 3.51 and a mode and median of 3. Then the standard deviation of 1.13 again shows a pretty. This is our fourth graph. This is question 10 of our survey. The average score of 3.6 shows a slight increase from the previous graph. People do consider sustainability, but it isn't a major factor. The median response is might or might not, which shows that people are quite uncertain about sustainability. This is further proven by a standard deviation of 1.06, which again shows moderate variation. Now this is the fifth and final graph I'll be talking about from question 15 of our survey. With a mean of 4.3, median and mode of 4, and a relatively low standard deviation of 0.97, the responses show a clear agreement that matte colours make headphones look. One limitation of our research is the sampling bias caused by our distribution methods. We conducted primary research to gain consumer preferences and the reasons behind the most important decisions in order to provide Brand X with the best possible chance of successfully breaking into the New Zealand market. However, our survey was mainly shared through social media platforms like Instagram and Snapchat. Therefore, we received a high response rate from younger people. 81.25% of our respondents were aged 16 to 25. Seen as this age group is a lot more active online, they're more likely to skew certain data points such as purchase preferences and where they view advertisements for headphones, perhaps giving us a data set unrepresentative of the total population. This may limit Brand X's knowledge of the total market, perhaps reducing the likelihood of reaching the NZ headphone market as a whole.
Okay, in this section, we're going to be looking at the 2 key recommendations, which will be backed by data to help Brand X differentiate themselves and be successful in such a competitive market. The 2 key recommendations that I'll be focusing on to ensure Brand X is successful are a focus on core functional attributes and product design, and launch a targeted social media strategy using local influencers. So, here's our first recommendation. As previously discussed by Sam, our insights using primary data in the headphone market allow us to see that most people's most important attributes of headphones are sound quality, comfort, and battery life. This tells us that New Zealand consumers really care about performance of headphones over the brand and reputation they have. Similarly, branding and design were at the bottom with a score of 0.9, meaning even if a brand is big, it doesn't automatically win customer loyalty in the market. For Brand X, this is a clear opportunity. By focusing on core functional features like delivering rich, immersive sound and all-day comfort and long-term battery life, we can target what consumers actually value. By utilizing secondary research regarding the headphone market from Statista reports, it indicated that the headphone market has generated $18.4 billion worldwide in 2024 with a projected quantity growth and annual growth of 2.4%. On top of this, at a global level, 75% of consumers thought sound quality was most important. This again backs up what our survey said with similar results, but also shows that there is a huge opportunity for Brand X to enter the New Zealand market by addressing what really matters to people, being performance. Instead of pouring resources into fancy branding or celebrity endorsements, Brand X can earn loyalty through exceptional functions and practical design, which consumers are demanding and not receiving globally, especially by these reviews. If Brand X can capitalize on this in a market, it'll allow for them to have a greater chance of being successful. The second recommendation we have is regarding social media strategies to increase brand recognition. Social media influencers aren't just basic entertainers. They can actually be utilized by Brand X as brand messengers. In 2023, social media influencers collectively earned over $700 million US, with many of their audiences being teenagers and young adults. Being aligned with our target market, these digital creators have become deeply embedded in youth culture, with 95% of teens in the US owning smartphones, and many using platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram daily. These global facts and trends can be mirrored into the New Zealand youth group, which will also help Brand X be successful if social media strategies are implemented properly. Brand X should take advantage of this by choosing local influencers who align with functional, honest branding. As technology continues to adapt, many platforms have more targeted and curated towards specific audiences. By keeping up with technology and utilizing this tech, it allowed Brand X to specifically use influencers to attract their target market, allowing for more success in a very competitive market.